There is a hidden code in Think and Grow Rich that almost no one notices. 9 out of 10 readers skip right past it, as if it were just another sentence. Hill didn't leave it out on purpose. He knew that only those who were prepared would see it. And perhaps that's exactly why so many people read the book, feel that initial enthusiasm, but then go back to living the same routine with the same bills and the same limits. It's as if the message entered through their eyes but never reached their hearts. This code isn't a magic formula, nor a secret trick you can apply in 5 minutes. It's a game changer, a shift in identity. It's what separates those who merely desire prosperity from those who actually create prosperity. Napoleon Hill called this principle definiteness of purpose, or definite purpose. For him, it was the starting point of all wealth. Without it, all effort becomes mere dust, energy wasted in random directions. Today you'll understand why your financial life may have hit the same ceiling so many times, and more importantly, how to break through this invisible barrier that keeps so many people stuck in a life of frustration and trial and error. Perhaps you've felt this anguish, working hard, giving your all, but seeing no concrete results, as if there were a hidden force holding you back. Hill would say this force is the absence of a defined purpose. But be careful, it's not enough to just think of any purpose. You need to choose a clear goal, write it down with conviction, and live every day as if it were a command to your subconscious. This is what turns desire into reality. And here I leave the first question for you to reflect on and share in the comments. What would be your purpose statement today? Write it down, because when you write it down, the process already begins to happen within you, and it can inspire others too. Imagine someone who bought Think and Grow Rich full of expectations. He read every chapter, highlighted phrases, and even told friends he was changing his mindset. But weeks later, nothing had happened. His salary remained the same. This is the fate of most, to be inspired but not transformed. Hill knew this, and so he wrote in layers. He left hidden passages, almost like secret doors, in the text. Only those who are ready to cross over can do so. The key to these doors is a defined purpose. Without it, you can have faith, you can have discipline, you can even work longer hours. But nothing stands. It's like building a house on sand. Sooner or later it collapses. Hill said, "A vague aim never made anyone rich." And it's true. Wanting to be rich isn't enough. You need to define how much, how soon, and how. Only then will your mind begin to organize the invisible resources around you. Maybe you're stuck in a cycle of trying. You study, work, and strive, but it feels like you're running on a treadmill, always in the same place. This happens because you lack clarity, and clarity is the first step to prosperity. Many people believe they lack results because they lack luck or the market is unfair. But in reality, what they lack is purpose. Hill observed millionaires of his time and realized they all had a greater cause, a goal that drove every action. Now think, do you already have this purpose? Or are you just reacting to life, trying to survive without a clear direction? Answer honestly and leave your feedback in the comments. Sometimes, your answer can help someone else find their way too. From this point on, I want you to commit to seeing each of Hill's teachings not as theory, but as a practical manual. Because this unknown secret only works when you lay your life upon it, as if it were the foundation of a building. Think of someone who wakes up early every day, works late, and never misses work. At first glance, they seem like the epitome of discipline. But behind this effort lies a harsh truth. They don't know exactly where they're headed. This man may be praised for his dedication, but his life is a repetitive cycle. He works to pay the bills, dreams of a vacation that never comes, and hopes for a promotion that may never come. It's like rowing without a compass on the open sea. Hill observed that millions of people live this way, full of discipline but without direction. They confuse effort with progress, believing that the harder I work, the richer I'll get. But without a clear purpose, the result is only burnout. This is where the difference between empty discipline and intelligent discipline emerges. The former drains energy, destroys enthusiasm, and ages the soul. The latter organizes your life around a clear goal, transforming every ounce of effort into construction. Now stop for a moment and reflect. Have you been confusing movement with progress? Do you feel busy, tired, exhausted? But when you look back, you realize you haven't moved forward. This is what Hill would call living aimlessly. The story of one of Hill's students illustrates this well. He worked 12 hours a day, accumulated debt, and believed he needed more hours to get out of trouble. Only when he defined his purpose was he able to refocus his efforts and thrive. This example proves that the problem isn't a lack of discipline, but misdirected discipline. When you channel your energy toward a defined purpose, even small daily actions become stepping stones to wealth. And here's the challenge. Have you ever felt this way? Exhausted but without any real progress? Share your experience in the comments. Your honesty might be just the push someone else needs to realize that discipline without direction is just exhaustion. Hill said that living without a defined purpose is like unwittingly signing an invisible contract. In this contract, you accept that your income will be limited, that your choices will have little weight, and that your life will be guided by other people's intentions. Most people don't realize they've already signed this contract. They work hard, meet deadlines, deliver results, but they never stop to ask, is all this getting me where I really want to go? This simple question changes destinies. One of his students was trapped in this cycle. He worked himself to exhaustion but never prospered. Hill challenged him to write his life mission in a single sentence. At first, he laughed. After a few tries, he finally managed to summarize his purpose. This exercise changed everything. For the first time, he had a compass. Every decision was filtered by the phrase he had written, and little by little, his actions began to align with a more prosperous future until his financial life took a leap forward. It's as if this phrase were a silent command to your subconscious, an order that begins to organize your thoughts, emotions, and attitudes around a single goal. Without it, you waste energy in 1,000 different directions. If this content is already opening your mind, take the opportunity to subscribe to the channel. Leave your like and share it with someone who needs this message. This simple gesture helps spread ideas that can transform lives. Now think, what would your purpose statement be today? It doesn't have to be perfect. Write something that summarizes where you want to go and why it matters. Share it in the comments. This action could mark the beginning of a new stage. And remember, when you share your quote, you not only create a commitment to yourself, but you can also inspire others who haven't yet found their direction. Sometimes, the courage of one paves the way for many. Hill warned, fear is the most expensive tax a human being pays. It doesn't show up on your bank statement, but it silently erodes every financial decision. Often, it's not a lack of opportunity that hinders prosperity, but the fear of taking action. Of all fears, the most destructive is the fear of criticism. How many brilliant ideas never got off the ground because someone was afraid of what others would think? This is the invisible cost that prevents thousands of people from becoming wealthy. Imagine an inventor who spends years developing a product. He knows it works, believes in its potential, but never launches it. Why? Because he fears laughter, jokes, and judgment. The result? A fortune lost before it even exists. Hill called this blockage a mental prison. Fear creates invisible chains that hold you in place. You even see the possibility of moving forward, but hesitate. And in that instant, the opportunity slips through your fingers. Think about how many times you've held back from taking a step for fear of failure or of being misunderstood. These moments cost more than any debt because they kill opportunities that will never return. Now reflect with me. What opportunity have you ever missed out on because you were afraid of what others would think? Share your story in the comments. Your story might help someone realize they're not alone in this silent struggle. Overcoming this invisible tax doesn't mean eliminating fear, but acting despite it. When you understand this, you begin to recover every penny lost to hesitation. Fear doesn't disappear, but it becomes fuel for moving forward. Remember, prosperity requires courage. Every time you take a step, even when you're afraid, you break a link in the invisible chains that bind you. And little by little, financial freedom stops being a dream and begins to become a reality. Napoleon Hill believed it was possible to predict a person's financial future in less than a minute. He called it a simple, yet brutal test. In just 30 seconds, it could reveal whether someone was destined to prosper or remain stagnant. The test was straightforward. Are you acting like someone who actually has money, or just like someone who dreams of having it? This question, as awkward as it may seem, immediately reveals the difference between desire and attitude. Many are enchanted by the idea of wealth, but continue living as they always have. They don't change habits, set goals, or adjust their behaviors. In this case, the answer to the test is clear. A prosperity mindset doesn't yet exist. On the other hand, those who act rich even before they have wealth already demonstrate signs of a prosperous future. It's not about ostentation, but about discipline, purpose, and the courage to take calculated risks. Wealth originates first in identity. Hill used this test with his students to show that repeating motivational phrases wasn't enough. What mattered were daily choices, how they spent their time, energy, and attention. Each decision was a reflection of their true mindset. And here's a thought for you. If you had to take this quiz right now, which side would you be on? Have you been acting like someone who builds wealth, or like someone who just wants it? Write your answer in the comments honestly. This moment of honesty can be a turning point. When you admit that you haven't been acting as you should, you create space for change. Acknowledging the truth is the first step toward aligning identity, purpose, and action. Never forget, it's not what you dream that defines your future, but what you do. This 30-second test may seem simple, but it has already revealed more about people's financial fate than years of empty speeches. Hill identified that most people live trapped in a cycle that never generates prosperity. It's the cycle of frustration, desire without a plan, faith without persistence, and action without purpose. A vicious cycle that consumes energy and delivers no real results. Desire without a plan is like a flame without fuel. You may feel enthusiasm at first, but it soon dies out because there's no structure to sustain it. That's why so many people start projects and abandon them halfway through. Faith without persistence is also a problem. Believing is important, but without persistence, any obstacle becomes a reason to give up. Hill showed that faith true is proven on difficult days when it seems like nothing is working. And what about action without purpose? This is perhaps the most dangerous. It's when you keep busy, rushing from one place to another, but never truly moving forward. It's movement without progress, effort without riches. If you feel like this content is helping you see patterns that previously went unnoticed, take advantage and subscribe to the channel. Like it and share it with someone who needs this message. This helps spread the transformation. The good news is that there's a counter-cycle that generates prosperity. It begins with a defined purpose, moves through self-suggestion, and ends with consistent action. It's simple, but requires daily discipline and clear objectives. When you apply this positive cycle, your choices are no longer random. Every step, even the smallest, becomes purposeful. And it's this consistency that builds visible, solid, and lasting results. Now, I want to hear from you. Have you ever felt trapped in this cycle of trying, failing, and starting over? Share your experience in the comments. Sharing it could be the first step toward breaking this pattern and creating a new cycle in your life. Napoleon Hill described something fascinating. A silent meeting that forever changed the life of one of his students. There were no speeches, no grand explanations, just the presence of minds aligned in a common purpose. This moment demonstrated the true power of the mastermind. Hill believed that when two or more people unite with a common goal, a third, invisible mind emerges, capable of generating ideas, solutions, and paths that would never emerge alone. The silent meeting represented more than words. It represented connection, shared energy, the certainty that the sum of two minds in harmony will always be greater than any isolated effort. The student who participated in this experience emerged transformed. He realized that until then, he had been trying to build his prosperity alone, carrying all the weight alone. From that day on, he understood the need for strategic partnerships, And this is a crucial point for you to reflect on. Who is walking alongside you? Who shares your goals and vibes? If you surround yourself only with negative people, you're feeding a chain that drains your energy. Hill proved that prosperity isn't achieved solely by what you know, but also by who's with you. A network of aligned minds multiplies possibilities. A misaligned network sabotages even the greatest talents. I want you to think now. Is there someone in your life who has ever served as this third mind alongside you? A partner, a friend, someone who brought you ideas you never would have come up with on your own? Write in the comments. Your experience might inspire. The silent gathering teaches us that thriving isn't just an individual act. It's a collective endeavor, where each successful connection opens invisible doors. And when you understand this, you realize you're not alone on this journey. After so many examples and stories, Hill's point becomes clear. Prosperity isn't luck or chance. It's born from the clarity of a defined purpose and the courage to act every day as if you already have that purpose within you. Each person you saw in this script had a turning point when they decided to stop living on autopilot. When they understood that without direction, all discipline is lost. That without courage, fear takes its toll. That without persistent faith, nothing flourishes. And maybe you're at that point now. Looking back at your life, you realize you've come far, but not as far as you could. And what's missing isn't willpower. It's aligning purpose, identity, and action. That's the key Hill left for those who dare to use it. If you apply this, you'll realize that prosperity doesn't happen overnight. It grows like a tree. First the invisible root, then the firm trunk, and only then the fruit. But the process only begins when you plant the seed. And the seed I want you to plant today is simple. Write your purpose statement. Post it in the comments. This small action could be the starting point of your new financial story, and it could inspire others to do the same. Because when you share your experience, you create engagement. And more than that, you help build a community of people who are also awakening to the same path of prosperity. Before you leave, be prepared. The next video to watch is about the invisible tax. It will show you how to cut the silent cost that drains your income every day without you even realizing it. It's the perfect complement to this message. Your journey to prosperity begins with a single step. Perhaps this video was that step. So don't let this energy slip away. Subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, and keep walking with me. Because, as Hill said, wealth is built first in the mind and then in the world.